Hi, I'm Matt Hall. I'm the QBE Airmanship Ambassador. In aviation, we kind of want things to be boring. A boring flight is actually a good flight. But even flights that require a lot of attention, a lot of procedures, can become boring through repetition. The problem then is when it's boring through repetition, that leads to complacency. And complacency is a big threat to aviation specifically. When I was growing up, I knew I wanted to be a pilot. I couldn't imagine anything better than having a career in aviation. And I would roll the dice and say 99% of professional pilots grew up the same way. I also think that most pilots at some stage in their career lose the passion a bit about aviation. They lose the thrill of getting out there and doing their job. So, how do we stop ourselves falling off that mindset of having great passion, great enthusiasm, great enjoyment as a pilot? Well, it's a win-win situation. We challenge ourselves in the aircraft and on the ground to become a better pilot. So before you jump in the cockpit, you've got to have some sort of process that identifies how you're feeling. There's an acronym out there, I'm sure you've heard of it, I'm SAFE, standing for illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and emotion. Make sure that none of those items are affecting your ability to think clearly and make safe decisions. Make the hard decisions of, hey, it's not worth it, let's not go. On top of the I'm safe checklist for yourself, you've also got to look at what your currencies are like. If you're going out to do something that's different to what you have done in a number of months, you probably need to ease yourself into it. For example, if I've been flying around in the extra doing aerobatics, or I've been boating along the beach in the Cub, I might be feeling very current as a pilot. But before I jump into the Twin Comanche to race off to a destination in Australia which might have bad weather or at night time, I need to actually think about how current I am at that specific mission, not just current as a pilot in general. We tend to, as we get more experience, think that it'll be okay. I've seen worse. It's really important that I get there, but you need to actually do one final check before you strap into the cockpit, put things in perspective and think, I'm about to become airborne in an aircraft. Is this exactly what I want to do for a long and happy life? Yeah, g'day mate, it's Matt. Yeah, it's still not good, so we're pulling the pin on the fly today, okay? Sorry about that. Let us know if there's anything else we can do for you. Yep, okay, have a great day, cheers. My biggest example of pressonitis was when I crashed a plane in a Red Bull Air Race in Windsor, Detroit, back in 2010. There's no doubt, in hindsight, that I should not have been in that aircraft. I was chronically fatigued. I knew the aircraft was effectively unserviceable in its handling characteristics. And more importantly, I had a head cold and was taking medication for it. As it even turned out, the medication I was taking was from the air race doctor at the time who provided it to me. But it said in German, do not operate machinery. Me as captain, I take full responsibility. Don't point the finger at anyone else. But the point is, there were other layers of airmanship available to step in and actually make that decision for me, take that pressure decision off me that I don't have to fly. It's not worth risking your life for. As part of airmanship, we've also got a responsibility to look after the other people as well. I talk about airmanship that we go through phases, from learning to being an expert, and then the final phase is mature. And what I define mature as is that you actually are proactively helping other people with their airmanship. You're not being judgmental. You're not telling them technique of how you would do something. You're actually out there helping people make good decisions. If you see someone that's looking at the weather and they're pacing around, you go over and you just offer to bounce some ideas off them about what is the weather doing, where is their destination, how important is it for them to go to that on this flight. If you see someone have a near miss or a bad landing or run off a runway, you don't sit back and point fingers and go, geez, that's a shocker. You go over and make sure, one, they're okay, and two, have a talk about why it happened and what we can do to help them not have that happen again. And lastly, if you see a repeat offender, don't be the guy that's in the background complaining about them. Stand up and go over and address the problems with them. You never know how that's going to be taken. Sometimes you may even lose a friend over it, but you'd rather take some action than in 3 months' time be attending a funeral thinking, I wonder if I could have stopped that happening. So if you can build these multiple layers of making sure you're okay, you will be a safer pilot when you strap into that aircraft.